6 spine-chilling ghosts caught on camera, terrifying encounters revealed in forbidden footage. The flickering screen displayed faces twisted in eternal agony, eyes wide with fear. 6 spine-chilling ghosts caught on camera. The narrator's voice dripped dread as Lisa sat on the edge of her couch, Jenna and Max asleep in their rooms. It wasn't just late, it felt like the uncaring witching hour. Abandoned houses whispered secrets outside her windows, beckoning with something sinister. Was she truly safe in her own home? She shook her head, scolding herself for letting the horror seep in, but the shadows outside felt all too alive. The first night shift at the convenience store was far from friendly. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed like angry wasps. Lisa served strange customers. One man, eyes too vacant, lingered just a bit too long, and when she handed him his change, his fingers brushed against hers coldly. She suppressed a shudder, but as she locked the door behind her that night, she felt a weight pressed down on her chest. The air felt charged with something unknowable hiding in the dark corners of her neighborhood. As days rolled into weeks, Lisa noticed the whispers. They grew louder, as if the shadows had voices of their own, each flicker of the light intensifying her heart's frantic pulse. It was a chilling echo, both mesmerizing and terrifying. The kids laughed and played without a care, but Lisa felt watched. She glanced at the dilapidated house next door, a presence more unsettling than its creaking walls. Rumors of ghosts danced in her mind as she cringed at the thought of what lingered within. One evening, Jenna and Max gathered around the tablet, squealing with laughs during a family game night. Their innocent excitement turned to gasps of horror when they reviewed the footage. "Look, Mommy!" they shouted, jerking her from her thoughts. Shadows swirled behind them, contorting into shapes far too ominous. Lisa's heart raced as a chill crept up her spine. "Just a trick of the light?" she whispered, but doubt gnawed at her. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The tension thickened, wrapping around them like a suffocating shroud. Jenna grew quieter, watching her mother with wide eyes, as if sensing the dread lurking unspoken between them. Max's laughter faded, replaced by staring at shifting shadows that seemed to lurch ominously each passing night. Lisa felt like a marionette, both mother and puppet, moving through routines while a dark puppet master controlled her reality. Then, one night, as she peered through the curtains, a chilling sight caught her breath. Figures materialized on her lawn, black silhouettes shivering at the edges of her vision. Adrenaline surged through her, heart thudding against her ribs. These weren't just shadows, these were remnants, echoes of souls trapped in a cycle of fear and unnoticed dread. The darkness felt lived in, familiar with her every fear. Determined to protect her children, Lisa plunged into the neighborhood's history. The sparse whispers spoke of disappearances, ghosts entwined with the secrets she could no longer ignore. But the truth was more horrific than she could have imagined. A spirit lurked, bound by despair, and it had taken notice of her family. Just when she thought she could shield her children, she froze at a cold sensation creeping along her back. Peering through the glass, a shadowy figure loomed, watching, waiting. Was it too late to escape? Would they become the latest victims wrapped in the horror woven through their own home? She felt a knot tighten. In her chest, darkness was closing in, and for the first time, Lisa realized the past would not let go without a fight. The shadow stood still, its presence an icy grip on the air around Lisa. Heart pounding, she dared not blink, as if doing so would grant it permission to breach that fragile barrier of safety. The darkness felt like it was rooting for her to look away, just for a moment. It didn't breathe, didn't move, but she felt it stare, hungry and relentless. Lisa's hands trembled at her sides, and the grip of terror snaked through her veins when she whispered, "What do you want?" The question hung in the air, heavy with dread. Silence answered, deep and suffocating. Jenna's soft voice broke through the tension. "Mommy?" The little girl appeared at her side, rubbing sleep from her eyes, innocent and unaware of the malevolence surrounding them. Lisa turned to her, momentarily blinded by maternal instinct. "Not now, Jenna," she said, trying to keep her voice steady while fear thrashed against her ribcage. But Jenna's wide eyes, laced with confusion, sent a chill down Lisa's spine. "There's a lady in the yard, Mommy." Just as icy fingers hugged at Lisa's heart, she let her gaze drift back to the window. The shadow was gone, the yard was empty, the moonlight bleeding over the grass. Was it gone, or had she just imagined it? She glanced down at Jenna, searching her daughter's face for any sign of mischief. "It's okay. You must have dreamed it," she murmured, attempting to soothe both of them. But doubt gnawed at her. She turned slowly back to the window, just to be reassured, only to find more shadows weaving between the trees. Cold dread settled deeper. That night, restless thoughts haunted her sleep. Snippets of the past drifted through her mind, stories told by neighbors who had all but forgotten. The rumors of ghostly figures, the missing children from a few streets over. A knock echoed through the haze. She jolted from sleep, panic flooding her. Through the familiar pattern of knocking, a rhythmic tattoo, Lisa's heart raced. Check the door? Call for help? Gripped by an urge to protect her children, she forced herself out of bed, tiptoeing to peek through the peephole. Nothing. The air was horridly still. Just as she turned to head back to her room, something heavy thudded against the door. It felt alive, angry. Lisa's breath quickened. Dread twisted her stomach as a feeling wrapped around her throat. The thought of opening the door sent her heart into a frenzied beat. "Mommy?" Jenna's voice trembled behind her, and Lisa turned, forcing a calm to her voice. "Stay here. I'll be right back." While Jenna clutched her stuffed animal tightly, Lisa inched toward the door, urging her limbs to obey. Each step felt like it was coated in mud, dragging her down. The knock came again, sharper this time. Growing bolder. She pressed her ear against the door, heart racing. It was then she heard it, a whisper. Her stomach knotted, twisting violently at the sound, indecipherable yet unmistakably real. "Let me in." The mere echo of those words turned her insides to ice. She stumbled back, knocking into the wall, her hands clawed at her throat, fighting the bile rising. She had to think. Didn't she? It was still night, no one around to hear. Max, sleeping soundly in the next room, would soon wake. "Mommy?" Panic surged. "No." She closed her eyes hard, reminded of the shadows lurking, waiting patiently. A thought struck. The old house next door. A crazed idea took root in her mind. As she turned back towards Jenna, a new fear dawned on her. What if they were not alone? What if that thing, monstrous and cold, wasn't the only secret hiding in the night? Lisa hastily whispered to Jenna, "Stay close to me. We need to check something." They moved toward the door. The whispers thrummed ever louder, a chorus of desperate voices urging them on. "Steel yourself," she thought, as she opened the front door, the night air rushing in. What awaited them in the dark? A single figure stood silhouetted against the streetlight glow. But it was not a shadow. It was a shape, a familiar face twisted with sadness and longing. Lisa's stomach dropped. "Mommy, help me." Jenna squeezed her hand tighter, eyes wide with fear. Lisa couldn't breathe. The night was alive, the forgotten truth unfurling its darkest secrets. As dread seeped deeper into her bones, the echoes of the past roared into view. Who or what was this ghostly figure haunting them? And then it spoke again. "You have to listen." What could she possibly do to make this ghost release its grip on her family? Lisa's heart felt like it was caught in a vice, squeezing tighter with every word that drifted from the figure in the shadows. The plea hung heavy in the air, unmistakably real, yet horrifyingly surreal. Thoughts raced through her mind, a storm of confusion and fear. Who was this specter, and how did it know her name? Jenna whimpered beside her. Lisa glanced down, her daughter's wide eyes reflecting the glow of the streetlight, mirroring a fear that threatened to consume them both. "Mommy, I don't like her." Jenna's tiny voice trembled, cutting through the thick, suffocating atmosphere. The child curled against her leg, as if seeking safety from the darkness. "Stay close," Lisa whispered, her voice barely audible. Moving toward the figure felt like walking through molasses. Each step was weighed down by uncertainty. What if this was a trick? The ghost of a stranger or a cursed neighbor? Deep down, a flicker of recognition ignited in her mind. "Lisa," the figure called out again, a shiver vibrating through her bones. "You must listen to me." "Who are you?" Lisa finally croaked, her throat dry as fear gripped her. The figure stepped closer, into the light. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes widened in disbelief. It was a familiar face twisted in agony, eyes wide with despair. Emily? It couldn't be. Emily, her childhood friend, had disappeared years ago. Vanished without a trace, leaving a small town gasping for answers. Lisa fought to suppress a wave of nausea. "How are you here?" A hollow laugh escaped Emily's lips, a sound devoid of warmth. "I'm lost, Lisa. Trapped. They took me." The darkness around them seemed to pulse, the whispering voices swirling like a tempest. Lisa felt the weight of unshed tears, memories flooding back, late-night secrets, shared laughter, the last time they'd seen each other, a mere memory now adorned with a shroud of horror. "Who took you?" Lisa pressed, wanting to break the circle of fear enfolding them. "How can I help you? Please, just tell me." Emily's expression hardened, her gaze shifting momentarily to the street beyond them. "The shadows, they're everywhere, Lisa. They've come for you next." The air grew colder. Dread wrapped around her heart like a vice. "What do you mean?" Lisa gasped, tightening her grip on Jenna, who was shaking now, a small creature quaking in the face of profound terror. "They feed on fear. They're drawn to the lost, to the forgotten." Emily choked, her voice trembling as if caught in a trap of despair. "You mustn't let them in." Before Lisa could respond, a thunderous crash sounded from the back of the house, shaking the ground beneath them. Panic surged through her. What was that? She gasped, her eyes darting toward the darkness beyond their home. "Stay inside. Do not open the door. They cannot enter unless you invite them." Emily's warning sliced through the chaos, but as she spoke, the light around her flickered ominously, the air charged with an electrifying tension. "Mommy!" Jenna cried, panic etched across her small face. Lisa's heart raced, her mind a whirlwind of dread. She needed to protect her child, but the pull of Emily's words was overwhelming. The whispers intensified, an unholy choir pushing at the edges of her mind, filling her thoughts with horror. Shadows danced at the corners of her vision, silhouettes creeping closer, mounting the pressure within the night. "Listen to me, Lisa." Emily pushed forward, her voice raw with urgency. "You must find the truth before the dawn. The shadows thrive in darkness, and if you don't act you'll be just like me." Lisa felt her resolve crumble as the whispers grew louder, deafening in their insistence. She glanced back at the darkened hall, the shadows seemed to shudder, intertwining with the very fabric of her reality. The boundaries between friend and foe blurred in the suffocating night. And then, from the darkness, came a single word, woven into the chaos: invite. What would she say? The choice bore down on her like lead. The echo of a plea rose in her throat, threatening to spill into the void. Could she withstand the pressure of the dark? Could she resist the invitation they demanded? Before she could think, the door shook violently, something relentless pushing against it. The dread was palpable, the shadows gathering, hungry and prepared to feast. "Mommy, make it stop!" Jenna screamed, fingernails digging into Lisa's arm, grounding her back in reality. "Jenna, close your eyes." As images of forgotten faces rushed through her mind, Lisa knew that time was running out. The choice lingered, a haunting invitation echoing through her thoughts. Would she succumb to the shadows lurking just beyond, or fight to uncover the truth buried beneath? With a breath filled with fear and determination, she whispered into the widening darkness, "I want to let you take us." The shadows hissed, an orchestra of rage. An ultimatum loomed. How far would she go to save her child? And in that instant, as the wind howled around them, something shape-shifted in the hallway. What other secrets were hidden in the dark? The door exploded open, unleashing a whirlwind of terror into the room, and Lisa's heart raced as the night rushed in. What had she unleashed? The air thickened with an unnatural chill as the door shattered inward, slamming against the wall with a resounding crash that echoed throughout the house. Shadows poured forth like a tide, curling and writhing, their forms distorted and monstrous. Lisa instinctively scooped Jenna close, her racing heart masking the terror that gripped her mind. "Stay behind me," she shouted, a slight tremor betraying her fear. The swirling darkness pressed against them, eager to engulf, to consume. 1,000 whispers reached out like fingers, each one a promise of dread, each syllable cut sharper than glass. Emily's image flickered in and out, her form struggling against the tightening shadows. "You have to fight it, Lisa. Don't let them in. They're everywhere." Lisa screamed, panic rising as she backed toward the kitchen, breath coming in gasps. The once familiar space felt alien now, dim and threatening. "What do I do?" "Find the light," Emily pleaded, but her voice was swallowed by the growing cacophony. "Here. There's a way out. Don't let them bind you." With desperation coursing through her veins, Lisa glanced around, searching for some comfort against the chaos. She spotted a flashlight on the cluttered kitchen counter, a dull glimmer in the panicked dark. She lunged for it, grasping the cool plastic in her trembling hands. "Jenna, cover your eyes." Before she could turn it on, a chilling force slammed into her chest, sending her staggering backward. The flashlight flew from her grip, tumbling to the ground, the beam flickering before dying altogether. The darkness shrieked with triumph, encircling them in an inky void, suffocating and isolating. "Mommy." Jenna's voice cracked, full of tremors. "I want to go home." Lisa's heart splintered at Jenna's innocence amidst this fracture of reality. "We will. Just hold on." The whispers grew frantic, an overwhelming chorus shrieking their intentions, wrapping around Lisa's mind. She felt herself teetering on the edge of that abyss, as Emily's hollow-eyed gaze met hers with desperation. "You're going to lose her. Use your fear. Don't give in." Fury boiled beneath her skin. What right did these shades have to threaten her daughter? A memory flashed through her tales of bravery, of fighting back against fear. She had lived in this town long enough to face down horrible things. This was no different. "Get back!" Lisa shouted, her voice slicing through the smothering darkness. "You don't belong here." As she breathed deeply, gathering her will, the shadows recoiled slightly, trembling like frightened creatures. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, she noticed a glow emanating from an old window, cracked and covered in dust. Hope ignited. "Follow the light, Jenna." She charged toward the window. The whispers morphed into furious howls, attempting to drag her back, to pull Jenna with them. Lisa's feet pounded against the floor, heart racing as she pushed through the darkness. She reached the window and tugged at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. The shadows snarled around her, pinching at her skin, like cold fingers digging deep. "Fight, Lisa," Emily urged, her voice straining. Summoning strength she didn't know she had, Lisa pulled again. This time it yielded, swinging open with a heart-stopping creak. A cool breeze rushed through, carrying with it glimmers of warmth, washing over them like a wave. "Jump!" With no time to think, Lisa grabbed Jenna and hurled them both through the opening, landing hard on the grass outside. A jarring impact shook her senses, but they were free. She gasped for breath, eyes wide as terror melted into another kind of awareness. The night sky dazzled with stars, untouched by the horrors they had escaped. But just as relief washed over her, she heard it, the low, dissonant hum of the shadows outside, still prowling, still seeking. They had not left. They were waiting, twisted and hungry, lurking on the threshold of her sanity. What just happened? Jenna whispered, trembling but alive in her mother's arms. I don't know. But we can't go back. Lisa's voice cracked with fear. A glint of movement flashed behind them. Lisa's heart sank as she turned, watching in horror as a figure began to coalesce in the darkness. Emily's voice echoed through the night, distorted and terrifying, "You've only delayed the inevitable." Lisa sprang back as the shadows surged, their demand unmistakable. Don't invite them. But the invitation was more than spoken words. It was the fear lingering, ready to slip out at the slightest crack. There would always be more they could take, more they could twist. And as she stumbled backward, her resolve strong yet frail, she realized this night was just the beginning. How can you fight against what wants you to invite it in? The dark figure tilted its head, watching with an insatiable hunger. What would it take to be free of this nightmare? Would running be enough, or was the truth buried deeper than the shadows themselves? As the winds howled ominously, darkness clung to her back, and each breath felt like a countdown. What horrors awaited in the dawn? The figure merged with the shadows, growing taller and more defined, its shape shifting into something undeniably human, yet grotesque. A face, or what once was a face, emerged, a warped smile that chilled Lisa to her core. You think you can escape? It hissed, the words curling in the air like smoke. There was a familiarity in its tone, an ache of recognition that twisted Lisa's stomach. Run! She shouted, instinctively pulling Jenna closer, the child's eyes wide as she trembled in fear. They turned, but the night felt alive around them, each rustle of the wind a whispering promise of despair. As they sprinted away, Lisa's thoughts jumbled like loose change. She couldn't think about the darkness closing in behind them. She had to focus, to find a way to keep Jenna safe. Look for a house, she urged, scanning the shadows of the street that felt foreign and sinister. But before they could reach the next house, the air grew cold again. A gnawing dread coiled around them as they approached an old, decaying structure, abandoned yet looming ominously, its windows like hungry eyes. They were drawn in, as if the house was alive, the very walls beckoning them to enter. We can't go in there, Mommy, Jenna protested, her voice rising hysterically. We have to, Lisa insisted, fighting her own trepidation. The whispers followed them, hissing through the trees, urging her to turn back, to succumb to the shadows. With a final push, Lisa swung the door open. It creaked loudly in protest, echoing in the vast emptiness beyond. Inside, the air felt stale, thick with a suffocating presence. The floorboards groaned under their weight, as if alive, as if they remembered footsteps long vanished. They stumbled into a dim foyer, where dust cloaked every surface, and remnants of a life left behind whispered of sorrow. A faded portrait hung crookedly on the wall, eyes that seemed to track their every move. Lisa shuddered. Please, Mommy, I'm scared, Jenna whimpered, clutching her mother's hand. I know, sweetie. We'll be okay, Lisa lied, her own heart racing. The shadows stirred again, seeping through the cracks of the walls, pulsing with a life of their own. The sound grew louder, morphing into a terrifying symphony of sobs and laughter intermingled, resonating with a sinister rhythm. Stay close, Lisa urged, guiding Jenna deeper into the house, her eyes scanning for any sign of safety. The hall twisted like a maze, doors ajar leading to utter darkness. She sensed a heavy weight in the air, a thick tension that seemed to expand, reminding her they were not alone. Then a sudden crash resounded from behind them. Lisa spun around, her heart pounding, dread flooding her system. Mom! Jenna screamed, her voice a haunting echo. Lisa turned, but she was too late. The darkness exploded into shapes, darting toward them with the speed of terror itself. The visage from before emerged again, its grin wide and all-consuming, reaching toward them with spectral hands. Why do you resist? Join us. It hissed, each word dripping with malice. No. Lisa shouted defiantly, but her voice wobbled with fear. In that moment, a flicker ignited in her chest, like a spark amidst an ocean of despair. "We don't want you." Suddenly, a brilliant light flickered to life in the far corner of the room, a solitary flame bobbing in the vastness. It beckoned, pulsating like a heartbeat. Without thinking, Lisa grabbed Jenna's hand and sprinted toward it. The shadows shrieked, a visceral sound of fury and longing, reaching for them. As they raced closer, the temperature dropped painfully. The figures surged behind them, closing the gap, determined to snatch them back into their fold. "Keep running," Lisa urged Jenna, desperately squeezing her hand. If they could just reach that light, but the shadows surged with surprising force. They grasped at Lisa's arms, tugging at her with icy claws, threatening to pull her down. Jenna cried out, "Mommy!" A sudden flash illuminated the space, and Lisa's surroundings brightened. She could hear another voice, sounds breaking through the shadows, but the figures still. "Chase them. Keep fighting." The spirit of Emily surged forward, appearing like a mirage of hope. At that moment, Lisa would risk everything to protect her girl. She could feel the weight of the shadows, the probing fingers clutching her mind, but she surged ahead, determined to break free. "Jenna, we need to break through." As they neared the light, it pulsated wildly, welcoming and warm. Lisa's heart raced. Would it be enough? Would they escape? With a final push, Lisa threw herself and Jenna into the light, but she could hear the darkness screeching behind them, promising to return, to hunt them down. As the brightness enveloped them, she felt a pull, strong and fierce, a disorienting sensation that threatened to unravel her reality one last time. What would happen when the light faded? Would they truly be safe? With fear still clinging to them, they crossed the threshold, not knowing if they had traded one horror for another. And as their world spun, Lisa whispered a silent prayer against the darkness lurking just beyond the glimmer. What awaited them on the other side? The light enveloped them, spinning and twisting their senses. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Lisa squeezed Jenna's hand tighter, pulling her close as they hurtled through the brightness, desperation fueling her forward. Then, with a sudden jolt, they landed on a cold, hard surface that knocked the breath from their lungs. Blinking against the blinding light, Lisa slowly regained her bearings. She looked around, disoriented. They were outside. But not outside in the way she expected. The landscape was eerily still, as if the vibrant life of the world had been sucked away. An endless expanse stretched before them, barren and gray, the sky flickering like a broken television set, colors clashing chaotically. "Mommy, where are we?" Jenna quivered, her voice quaking like leaves in a storm. I don't know," Lisa stammered, dread pooling in her stomach. The coldness of the air bit at their skin, gnawing at their resolve. She glanced back, half expecting the shadows to follow them into this strange space, but nothing pursued. For now, they were alone. "Stay close," Lisa warned, her heart pounding heavily, the silence around them deafening. They began to walk, the ground beneath them barren and cracked, as if it hadn't seen life in decades. The shadows of the house hung in her mind, the memory still fresh and vivid. A shiver crawled up her spine. "Where are we?" she whispered to no one in particular. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. Lisa froze, her breath caught in her throat. A low rumble vibrated through the air as if something or someone was awakening. Jenna's hand went clammy in hers. "Mommy, I don't like this." "Just a little farther, sweetie," Lisa soothed, even as her own heart raced in panic. The rumbling grew louder, merging into a cacophony of voices. Whispering, pleading, and some laughing that gave Lisa no comfort at all. It felt as if the very air around them was alive with torment. They stumbled upon a narrow path winding through the desolate expanse. The whispers drifted around them, tempting her to turn back, to escape this nightmare. But what was behind them? The shadows? The house? She couldn't go back. As they walked, Lisa spotted shapes in the distance, figures moving against the distorted sky. Her heart raced anew. Were they people? Or more spirits lingering in this limbo? As they approached, details became clearer. Eyes, mouths some twisted in silent screams, others wide with terror slashed through the gloom like knives. "Keep moving, Jenna. Don't look too closely," she said, her voice barely more than a whisper, a futile attempt at control in the midst of chaos. A figure suddenly broke away from the throng, sprinting toward them. Lisa's heart dropped into her stomach, adrenaline flooding her system. But as it drew closer, she recognized the face, a woman with sunken eyes and wild hair, her expression a mixture of desperation and relief. "Help me!" she shrieked, reaching out for them with gnarled fingers. Lisa recoiled, pulling Jenna closer as panic surged. "We can't," but the woman's eyes bored into Lisa's with a haunting familiarity. Then a flash of recognition struck Lisa like lightning. She had seen that woman before, standing beside her at the park, a memory twisted in time. "Please. You have to help me. They want to let me go." "Who?" Lisa shouted, voice breaking, fear twisting her insides. The woman staggered closer, almost falling into Lisa's arms. "The shadows, they're everywhere. You have to fight them. Don't give in." Just then, Lisa felt a cold breeze sweep past her, darkening the once erratic skies. Whispers intensified, increasing into an uproar, suffocating her thoughts. "Run!" the woman cried, panic final in her eyes, but before Lisa could react, shadows ripped through the air, dragging the woman back into the writhing mass. "No!" Jenna screamed, pulling at her. "Mommy, we have to go." The shadows encroached, swirling and merging into grotesque images of tormented faces. "Jenna, hold on to me." They turned back, racing down the path, but the darkness stretched wide before them, closing in like a suffocating shroud. "Fight it," urged a voice from deep within, a familiar voice that echoed Emily's words. Lisa gritted her teeth, forcing her legs to pump faster, louder. What was at stake here? This desolate battleground between light and dark felt like a final stand. A flicker of light pulsed ahead. Was it another illusion, another flicker of hope? Or had they truly found their way out? Mommy Jenna's voice quivered, desperation curling in her small frame. But as they neared the light, the shadows swarmed, hungry and relentless, reaching for them with darkened claws that knotted around their hearts. Would they perish like the others? Or could they find a way to fight back? Every instinct screamed to break free, to escape this hell. But Lisa realized she had to confront the shadows, to refuse their calling. Terror coiled deeper within, but Lisa clung tight to her daughter, their fingers intertwined as they charged toward the light. What lay ahead was a mystery, but behind them was death. As the light flickered, pulsed, and beckoned them in, darkness howled around, pleading for their surrender, whispering promises of eternal despair. Could they withstand the storm? As they rushed into the brightness, another question loomed. Would they find safety or unleash yet another horror in their quest for freedom? As they plunged into the light, a rush of warmth enveloped them, momentarily drowning out the icy grip of despair. Lisa shielded Jenna, willing her heart to calm. But the moment was fleeting. The brightness shifted, replaced by a new darkness, one thick and palpable, settling over them like a heavy blanket. They found themselves standing in what appeared to be a dilapidated hallway. The air was stale, laced with a musty odor that made Lisa's stomach churn. Flickering overhead lights cast long shadows that danced menacingly across the peeling walls. The floorboards creaked underfoot, an eerie reminder that this building was still alive in some horrific way. "Mommy, I don't like this place," Jenna whispered, her small voice trembling. "Neither do I, honey," Lisa admitted, scanning the darkness that stretched into infinity. "We need to keep moving." They ventured deeper into the corridor, each step echoing ominously. The walls felt as though they were closing in on them, whispering secrets Lisa wasn't sure she wanted to know. Each flicker of light seemed a cruel taunt, an invitation to the horrors that lurked beyond the shadows. "Help us! Help us!" The voices grew louder, like a cacophony of forgotten souls grasping for redemption. Lisa shuddered, dread pooling in her stomach once more. Jenna clung to her leg, her wide eyes reflecting the flickering light. "Stay close," Lisa repeated, forcing her feet to move even as the whispers coiled around her, urging her toward the walls that seemed to throb with hidden life. She resolved to shield her daughter from whatever nightmarish visions awaited, or worse, from the truth that might shatter them both. They approached a door at the end of the hallway. It stood ajar, a sliver of darkness oozing from the crack, calling to them like a siren's song. Lisa hesitated, a nervous energy sending ripples through her. Do we go in?" she asked, though the answer felt obvious. "Yes," Jenna breathed, her voice bold yet trembling. "Maybe we can find a way out." Taking a deep breath, Lisa pushed the door open wider. The hinges squealed in protest. Inside lay a room shrouded in darkness. The walls were lined with mirrors, their surfaces fogged and cracked. Shadows twisted in the corners, creeping closer with every heartbeat. "Mommy!" Jenna gasped as a figure darted past one of the mirrors, an indistinct shape that flickered with an unnatural energy. "Did you see that?" Lisa's voice trembled, sweat clinging to her brow. I think so," Jenna stammered, clutching her mother's hand tightly. Lisa stepped further into the room, urging Jenna to follow. The air felt electric, charged with a whispering energy that both excited and terrified her. Suddenly, all the reflections in the mirrors shifted, distorting into grotesque versions of themselves. Each face sneered, twisted in rage and despair. "Look away!" Lisa shouted, pulling Jenna tightly against her. But the shadows seemed drawn to the girl, swirling eagerly around them. The noise grew, deafening shrieks, laughter, pleading voices. Their cries rose and fell like waves crashing against a shore. "Make them stop!" Jenna cried, her fear palpable, heightening Lisa's own terror. "Stay with me," Lisa urged, her heart hammering against her ribcage. The shadows flickered over the mirrors like water flowing beneath ice, and she felt her resolve beginning to weaken. As if sensing her hesitation, the mirrored figures suddenly slammed their fists against the glass, shaking the very foundations of the room. The glass splintered, sending shards flying in all directions. "Run!" Lisa yelled, yanking Jenna away just as the mirror shattered. They tore out of the room, the hallway turning into an endless stretch of torment as the shouts chased them, desperate and accusing. "Where do we go? Where do we go?" Jenna's voice rose in panic, each question a stab to Lisa's heart. "There." Lisa pointed to a light at the end of another corridor, panic propelling them forward. But as they sprinted toward the light, the darkness howled, vibrating with rage. The whispers shaped into words, screams rebounding off the walls. "You cannot escape us. You belong here. Eternal torment awaits." Heavy shadows slithered underfoot, reaching for their ankles, desperate to drag them down. With every ounce of strength, Lisa pulled Jenna onward, their movement a desperate dance against the inevitable. Would they break free from the darkness, or was this merely another trap, pulling them deeper into a nightmare from which they might never wake? As they neared the threshold, a chilling thought struck Lisa. Would the light be salvation, or would it reveal yet another layer of horrors? Time warped around them. How many lives had been claimed in this dreadful maze? Lisa gritted her teeth, determination mingling with despair. Just above the pounding in her chest lay another whisper, urging her to fight. "Jenna, hold on tight." They burst into the light with frantic hope, but at what cost? What awaited them on the other side? Would they finally find safety, or unleash the final terror level upon their souls? The blinding light enveloped them, but it was different now. Instead of warmth, it felt like a cold knife piercing through the haze. As they stumbled into this new space, Lisa's hope began to dim. The room around them was barren, stretching endlessly with walls that seemed to distort and twist in impossible angles. "Where are we?" Jenna's voice, small and doubtful, broke through the silence. "I don't know, sweetheart." Lisa clutched her daughter tighter, feeling the dread curling like a serpent around her heart. Ahead of them sat a table draped in a dusty cloth, its surface scattered with what looked like antique toys, disfigured dolls grinning widely with hollow eyes. The sight twisted her stomach into knots. A soft cackle echoed, rising from the scraps of dust and soot floating lazily in the air, slithering around them like a ghostly fog. "Mommy, something doesn't feel right," Jenna whispered, her eyes wide and shaking. "Stay close," Lisa urged, her voice faltering. The gleeful laughter continued, an eerie symphony of delight and chaos. She stepped forward, drawn to the center of the room, her instinct screaming at her to turn back. Suddenly, the room trembled. Shadows lashed out, coiling around the toys like hungry beasts. Lisa barely had time to react as the littlest doll shot forward, reaching out with impossibly long fingers. "Run!" She barely managed to shout, yanking Jenna as they fled back toward the path they entered. But the doorway had closed, replaced by a wall, unyielding and grotesque. She kicked at it in frustration, breath clawing at her throat. "We're trapped!" Jenna cried, panic flooding her voice. "No! We will find a way out!" Lisa shouted back, desperation pushing her forward. A glimmer caught her eye, a small crack in the wall, just big enough to squeeze through. But was it a way out, or another trap? "Mommy, look!" Jenna pointed, her voice suddenly brightening. Above them, an old chandelier swung lazily, its crystal pendants chiming softly a melody that felt hauntingly familiar. "Stay where you are," Lisa hissed, instinctively stepping between her daughter and the spectacle. The laughter rose again, wrapping around them like a shroud. "Come play with us," the shadows taunted, circling like vultures. "No. We won tea," Lisa shouted defiantly, her pulse racing. But the words felt weak against the endless tide of darkness. Just then, a door appeared on the farthest wall, its wood splintered but oddly inviting, glowing softly in the shadow-laden chaos. Returning to her instinct of self-preservation, it felt like a beacon amidst despair. "Jenna, I need you to trust me," she said firmly, inching toward the door. "We're going to go through that door. Stay close." "What if something bad is behind it?" Jenna asked, her voice trembling. Lisa hesitated. Deep down, she knew that something truly horrific lurked within the darkness, but they had no choice. "We have to take the risk," she replied, forcing a brave smile, even as her heart faltered. They sprinted toward the door, shadows screeching with wrath as they encroached upon them. Greta, now weaker and tiresome, shrieked louder, "You cannot hide. You cannot escape." With claws reaching out for them, they flung the door wide open, revealing endless stairs spiraling down into nothingness. The chasm below was pure darkness. "After me," Lisa shouted, grabbing Jenna's tiny hand as they leaped into the abyss. The air rushed past, a vacuum of sound. The darkness swirled around them, cold and suffocating, pressing against her body as it threatened to consume them whole. "Mommy, I can't breathe," Jenna squealed in terror. Then, just like that, they landed hard on a cold, damp floor. They found themselves in a dimly lit cellar, the air heavy with smells of rot and despair. Chains hung from the ceiling, clinking softly like a graveyard chime. A figure loomed in the corner, shrouded in shadows, watching them intently with eyes that glowed. Who are you?" Lisa trembled, her body frozen in dread. And as the specter took a step closer, the world shifted again, shadows coiling like snakes, the walls vibrating with an unnatural pulse. Could this apparition be the answer to their escape, or the harbinger of a fate worse than their previous shadows? With a blinding charge of energy, the darkness surged forward, ravenous for its next meal. Lisa's breath hitched as the figure advanced, each step slow and deliberate. The air thickened with dread, turning her stomach. Desperately, she scanned their surroundings. The dim light only highlighted the decay corners festooned with cobwebs, walls stained with darkness that seemed to breathe. The figure emerged from the shadows, revealing a gaunt face with hollow cheeks and a smile that split too wide for comfort. It was an unsettling mix of familiarity and horror, as if a beloved ghost from a forgotten dream had turned to nightmare. "Welcome to my domain," it rasped, voice a chilling contrast to its grin. Lisa felt Jenna clutch her leg, trembling. "Mommy, make it go away," Jenna pleaded, eyes wide like saucers. Get back. Lisa barked, stepping in front of Jenna, fists clenched. Her heart raced. What do you want from us? The figure tilted its head like a curious predator. Play with me, it said, its tone laced with sinister glee. So many have come before you, but none stayed long enough to have real fun. A tremor ran through Lisa. The laughter echoed in her mind again, now a cacophony mixing with Jenna's whimpers. We're not playing with you, she declared, shaking with defiance. Let us leave. It took another step closer, and in that moment, the cellar seemed to pulse around them, shadows creeping closer, reaching, hungry for their fear. The chains rattled softly, orchestrating a dreadful symphony. Leave? The figure repeated, and the walls shivered as if shaking in silent laughter. But you can't. Not until we play the game. Mommy, I'm scared. Jenna's small voice broke even weaker now. Trust me, Jenna. Whatever it is. The words fell away as a horror struck her. What was this game? What do we have to do? The figure gestured to the darkened corners where shapes fluttered, indistinct yet full of menace. You must find the others, it crooned. Those trapped, just like you. Solve their puzzles, or become part of them forever. Lisa's spine chilled. There are others? Yes. It sang, a gleeful melody engulfed by malice. Join the fun. Or do you want to join the darkness? Lisa grabbed Jenna, backing away. No. We will find our way out. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the air, reverberating through the cellar. The noise came from somewhere deep within the shadows, raw and filled with terror. No. Not again. A voice cried, echoing desperation. Find the key. The figure urged incessantly, undeterred by the sudden echo of fear surrounding them. Find the key before it's too late. The chaos erupted. The chains rattled louder, and shadows writhing on the walls swallowed light. With every clang, Lisa's stomach twisted tighter in a knot of dread. We have to move. She shouted over the din, yanking Jenna away from the figure's reach. Where? She hollered, overwhelmed by fear and confusion. Anywhere but here. They raced into the darkness, the figure's laugh trailing behind them like a serpent eager to strike. The scream from earlier rang again, slightly clearer. Help me. Came a fragile plea. Lisa's heart sank. Who was it? Mommy, I don't want to go. Jenna cried. I know, sweetheart. I know, but with no choice, each footstep brought them deeper into the unknown. The darkness felt alive, wrapping around them as they stumbled forward. Mommy. I see something. Jenna pointed to a small flickering light ahead, a beacon in the suffocating blackness. A way out? But as they moved closer, the shadows coiled tighter. A figure loomed beside the light. It was mottled and disguising itself in the dark. It reached out a twisted hand, blocking their path. Join us, it hissed. Before the game ends. Lisa froze, feelings of terror blossoming anew. Was this the key to their escape or merely another trap? Run! Lisa yelled, and they sprinted toward the light, unsure if it would bring salvation or doom. Behind her, the echoes grew louder, crashing like waves against a rocky shore, growing nearer with each frantic heartbeat. What awaited them in that sickening glow? Just ahead, the darkness pulsed, and Lisa realized time was running out. The shadows writhed menacingly behind them as Lisa and Jenna pressed toward the faint flicker of light. Every instinct urged her to turn back, pull her daughter close, and hide. But the closer they got, the more her resolve bubbled up. Fight! We're almost there. She yelled, grasping Jenna's hand as if it were a lifeline, a tether against the consuming dread. With each step, the pleading whispers intensified, growing into frantic wails that echoed through the air. They clawed at Lisa's resolve, trying to pry her away from the light, a light that seemed to pulse with a heartbeat she could feel deep in her own chest. Mommy. What if it's a trick? Jenna squeaked, her little voice trembling as she peeked over Lisa's shoulder. It won TB. I promise. Just stay with me, Lisa replied, forcing her legs to move faster. She felt the inhospitable grip of shadows snapping at their heels, relentless in their pursuit. With a final burst of energy, they leapt into the light. The warmth washed over them, embracing as they dodged into the fading glow. The moment they crossed through, the air shifted. It felt lighter but charged with an uncertain tension. The light flickered and swirled around them like a tangible entity. They were in a vast room, walls lined with glowing symbols and strange markings shining brightly. Where are we? Jenna's amazement cut through the mounting fear. I think we might be inside the ghost's domain, Lisa breathed, scanning their surroundings nervously. Suddenly, whispers floated around them, not menacing this time, but soft and gentle, brushing against their ears like a lover's caress. Welcome back, they said, a chorus of lost echoes intertwining. One symbol on the wall pulsed in rhythm with her heart, inviting and warm. That one. Lisa exclaimed, pointing. It feels connected to us. As she reached out, the symbols shimmered and flared brightly, illuminating the room. A path unfolded beneath their feet, one leading deeper into the strange sanctuary. Mommy, do you really think this will help us? Jenna stared at the swirls, her small hand tightening around her mother's grasp. It has to be. It's where we need to go, Lisa said, trusting in instinct rather than fear. They walked on, the glow growing, illuminating remnants of lives lost. The gentle voices around them spoke of hope and remembrance, encouraging them toward a door that appeared suddenly, a portal that throbbed with energy. Do you feel that? Lisa whispered. It's like they want us to open it. We can't look back, Jenna said, braver than she felt, and Lisa nodded, gathering strength. With a hesitant hand, Lisa pulled the door wide. What lay beyond was a whirlwind of colors, swirling and twinkling like a kaleidoscope of dreams. The luminous energy beckoned, promising safety and resolution. As they stepped through, a cacophony of voices surged to greet them, a comforting embrace against an unforgiving world. They felt the shadows retreat, their gnashing whispers falling silent. Mommy, I think we did it. Jenna cheered, her voice a symphony of wonder. Yes, we did. Lisa smiled wide, tears of relief misting her vision. In that instant, her past caught up with her, a vision of Emily flickering to life beside them, not a ghost of despair but a shimmering specter of peace. Thank you for listening, Emily's form whispered, her voice mingling with the joyous harmonies. You saved so many. They are finally free to move on. I did it for her. Lisa's heart swelled with pride as she held Jenna close, feeling the warmth of safety flood through them both. The door behind them shimmered, closing with a radiant sigh, finally sealing off the shadows that had haunted them. They stood on the threshold of a beautiful new beginning, a reality washed free of the horrors they had faced. I love you, Mommy, Jenna said, her eyes sparkling. I love you too, sweetheart. Always, Lisa responded, a sense of peace settling over them like a warm blanket. Hand in hand, they stepped further into the light, leaving the darkness behind for good. As they walked on, echoes of life began to reveal themselves. A world filled with laughter, joy, and love rose over them as they embraced the dawn of a new chapter. The weight of the past would always remain, but in that moment, they knew they were free. And with every beat of her heart, Lisa understood, some shadows could only be conquered by the light within. Now, friends, if you've enjoyed this wild ride, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on any of our exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button because it genuinely helps us reach more people. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories about the story's end because we want to hear from you. You can't let your friends miss this conclusion either. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Don't wait even one more second to help this amazing community grow. Your support makes all the difference.